A few years ago, I kept seeing posts on social media saying that we're living in the golden era of indie game development. And of course, I read posts arguing that it's not because the game profits were not as high as they should be across the board. And I remember thinking, I don't believe either side was talking about the same thing at all. As someone who has worked in the game industry, I think we've been measuring indie development by the wrong standard. For nearly 2 decades, the video game industry was considered the most lucrative entertainment industry in the world. There were incredible successes, massive studios, billion-dollar franchises, and incredible opportunities. But underneath all of that, there was also an increasing pressure to make sequels and remakes, earn more, to kick out more games faster, and eventually that became unsustainable. Then came the industry shakeup. Layoffs happened before, but not on the scale we are witnessing, at least not in the scale of the last few years. Thousands of game industry folks suddenly found themselves dropped hard while projects were canceled and studios disappeared almost overnight, replaced by some of the worst half-done game slop and remakes ever. Watching that unfold made me think differently about success. Long before I worked professionally in games, I spent time creating comics. I only freelanced, but I learned something during that time, and it stayed with me ever since. See, there was this small local comic book shop I used to visit. They carried all types of comics, and sitting on the checkout counter was always a comic created by this local independent comic developer. It wasn't necessarily the type of comic I would collect, but I asked the owner about it. He told me something I'll never forget. He explained that every customer who walked into the store only had so much money and only so much time and attention for whatever comics they wanted to read. Most people came in knowing exactly which comic books they planned to buy. For an independent comic creator to convince somebody to spend part of their limited budget on their story, that is a huge accomplishment. It wasn't about selling millions of comics, it was about earning that one reader. One person who decided your story deserved a place in their budget. I've thought about that conversation many times over the years, and I think games work the same way. We celebrate games that sell millions of copies, and rightfully so. But sometimes we forget what it actually means when even one person chooses to invest their money, and most importantly, their time, playing something you created. That is worth a lot, just like you spending your time to watch this video. When someone gives your game a chance, they're giving you something incredibly valuable. That's why I think people misunderstand what makes this the golden era of indie game development. It's not because every indie developer is going to become wealthy. It's not because every game is going to explode on Steam or Xbox or PlayStation. It's because there has never been a better time in history for one person or a small team to create something authentically theirs. A developer can dismiss the pressure that comes with a lot of big publishing companies. Pressure to be trending and appeasing to the big business over innovative creativity. Today we have tools that were once reserved for large studios, and they are free. We have Unreal Engine, Unity, Godot. We also have Blender. We have access to incredible learning resources available to almost anyone willing to search and put in the work. And in case I didn't mention it, this stuff is free. A solo developer today can build experiences that would have required entire teams only a decade or two ago. Now, to me, that's the golden era. Not unlimited profits, unlimited opportunity. I think we've also fallen into the trap of measuring creativity and success only through financial success. Please don't misunderstand me. Profit definitely matters. If you want to continue making games, eventually those games have to support themselves. But I think it's a big mistake to make maximum profit the primary reason you create. When profit becomes the only goal, it is easy to start chasing superficial copycat trends. Whatever sold last year becomes the way we need to sell this year. It's easy to play it safe instead of taking those creative risks. Independent development gives us something incredibly valuable. Freedom to build worlds that don't need permission. Freedom to tell stories that don't need to fit neatly into marketing research. Freedom to create something that reflects who we are instead of what the algorithm predicts will sell. That's one of the reasons I'm creating my game. Now, I've worked on AAA games, I've worked on AA games, and I've worked on indie games. I've contributed to worlds created by other people, but this one is mine. Whether my game becomes a huge commercial success or simply finds the audience it is meant to find, that's not the only reason I'm making it. I'm making it because it's the game I want to exist. It's the story I want to tell. And maybe that's the point. If your only reward comes after launch day, you're placing years of work, possibly years of work, behind one uncertain outcome. But if part of the reward comes from learning, from solving problems, from creating these awesome worlds that are authentically yours, from growing as a creator, then every day spent building your game has value. There are more games available today than ever before, which is exactly why I think it's almost a shame to spend years creating something that doesn't genuinely come from your own imagination. Create something inspired by the games you love. Learn from the developers you admire, but don't lose your own voice trying to chase someone else's success. To me, that's what makes the golden era of indie game development. Not because it's the easiest time to make money, but because it's the greatest opportunity and freedom we've ever had to create something only we can make. The game industry will change. Tools of the industry will change. Technology of the industry will change as well. But your creativity as a creator will always be yours.